happy to introduce today's speaker. He is certainly an activist that is doing the kind of work that AHSers certainly, we're concerned about, we can be proud of. I mean, he is out there just engaged with the houseless community and trying to answer one of the biggest social problems facing our world. And I know when I come to Portland, we take the train in from the airport, and the extent of homelessness here is profound, but of course it's in every one of our cities and towns, right? And as the richest country in the world, you would think we would know better. So today, Ibrahim Mubarak is going to speak to us. He is the founder of Right to Survive. If you went on the walking tour, you saw it's called a Houseless rest area, and that's actually where Tony and I encountered him, and we're like, oh, we want this guy to come speak to us. So again, just like the other day, I'm going to give you a little bio and then cede the floor to Ibrahim. Ibrahim Mubarak is a renowned leader in the activist community for over 25 years. As a champion for houseless rights, he has dedicated himself to improving the many struggles of the disenfranchised and houseless community. Ibrahim co-founded Dignity Village in the late 1990s, and in 2010, on World Houseless Awareness Day, he co-founded, along with members of Right to Survive, a rest area called Right to Dream 2. In 2009, he founded Right to Survive, a group made up of formerly houseless people and their allies and supporters to teach and educate the houseless about the unjust laws established to criminalize the houseless communities for exercising their civil, constitutional, and human rights. Since then, he has held various board positions in this organization. As he travels throughout the country, Ibrahim has facilitated many forums and discussions on the root causes and systemic changes that encompass the houseless community. He has advised city officials, community leaders, neighborhood associations, and the business community on many issues. His organization has presented PowerPoint presentations for training police, park rangers, city and state workers, and social service workers when in communication with the houseless. He also teaches, gives lectures on campuses, and conducts workshops at local and nationally led forums on how to create houseless tent cities and rest areas, and how to address systemic issues and create constructive, positive solutions to houselessness. So please join me in welcoming our guest today, Ibrahim Mubarak.
I would like to thank everyone for coming today. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today, especially for inviting me where we can see houselessness from a different angle, not from up there, but from ground zero. Before I get started, I would like to give you some homework because I see all the numbers, the letters in front of you all names, and I got numbers and letters after my name. If you ask my wife, she got a lot of those for me. So I would like to ask you which came first, bums, hobos, or tramps. And after that, we can figure out which one came first. Okay. So I want to play a little about DVD that we have, and that's how we generate money for our organization. About 10 minutes of it, and then I'm going to turn the volume down, and it's going to continue to play as I speak, okay? Thanks.
I'm Sean, and I'm homeless. I could pass for a regular passerby, we call them civilians.
I'm on the street again. What is that? I'm on the street. I ain't got a place to stay. It's cold and damp in a hobo's camp. So that's what makes me. That's what hurts me. That's what really hurt me.
For a long time, before I came on this table 3 times, there needs to be more reasonable housing.
Man, I'm on the street. I'm really on the street. So I gotta do what I gotta do. Hustler. I wanna just have my own place. I'm on place. Something wrong with that.
I was in Coos Bay, Oregon. I chose to leave and I was going back to Montana, and I kind of got stuck in Portland. The statistics I heard are 50% of women will be assaulted
will have their things stolen, they'll be raped. 50%, that's half of every single female. I mean, I don't know if I'd be one of them, but that's alarming to me. It's absolutely horrifying, but you see it all the time.
I had a job at a place that was closing. I was on the streets, and I had nowhere to go. I didn't know anything of the resources.
When the streets, there was experiencing a lot of assaults and rapes with women, is that we immediately opened up certain areas of the camp for women. You know, we just, it didn't matter, you know, if every single one of them would have showed up, we would have found a place for them. It was a really high priority for us to, you know, to address that.
Somebody help me.
Welcome to R2D2. When you hear your name, please wait at the light with the green. Use the crosswalk, thank you. There's no backpacks in the restroom. Shoes and shirts will be worn outside the tent. There's no sexist, racist, homophobic remarks. There's no violence, no threats of violence. And who's ready to sleep? Women! Leslie! Clean up! Roshana! Chambers!
For the past 3 decades, the United States has been experiencing, you know, a public health epidemic and a shortage of affordable housing. And most every urban environment in the United States and many suburban and rural environments today are dealing with people sleeping outdoors. Those people are somebody's mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, and those are ultimately people that do have value and do have a place in the world to be successful, and so we have to be able to prioritize those things.
Right to Dream 2 is a direct action of Right to Survive. We had come up with the concept of doing a protest with the houseless community during the Rose Parade, where we would pitch tents along the Rose Parade and fill them with houseless people. And each year as it gets bigger, the houseless people then ask us, well, where do we go now? One night's great, but then what?
We want this to be a rest area where we provide 8 to 12 hours of undisturbed, uninterrupted, peaceful, dry, safe sleep. And that's all this is to people to come get off the sidewalk so they won't be criminalized for exercising their human rights. And it's everybody's human right to fall asleep sooner or later. You can't stop that.
What they were offering here was a rest area, and well, basically when they first opened, they were letting anyone just come in, and this gave you a tent, basically a place to stay, so I didn't have to have pushing a shopping cart around. Gave me a place of stability.
Back then, what you really needed was a tent, a buck, and to be willing to follow the code of conduct. And if you didn't have a tent, they would find one for you, and if you didn't have the dollar, they'd waive that.
So if you're working, you want that proper sleep also. So that's why we're here to provide a 24-hour rest area. And that's how it came about. Yeah, when we go up on, I mean, they may not have time now, but before you leave or something, they can give you directions. They can give you instructions how to become part of this organization. People who had found work or looking for housing needed more stability than just 8 to 12 hours of sleep. So we created a membership program within it where people can stay as long as they're working, looking for housing, going to school. And so that way they can be more in the mental state of mind to accomplish to successfully accomplish these things that they wanted to do.
We both found work, and that a lot of that has to do with being here. We weren't carrying our luggage around everywhere. We weren't waking up in the middle of the night. You know, we were sleeping on the side of the street and in bushes, and you know, you don't sleep really well. You're up all the time. You know, and just being able to keep your things in one area and being able to sleep soundly. You know, wake up, have energy to just even get to a job and do. You know, be performing at the level you need to be at.
the really big difference is this community is running the place themselves. So it's community controlled, although there's two groups. There's the dreamers, the ones who actually are members, and they have agreed to run the place with security, make sure the kitchen is clean, help people to understand the rules and follow the rules here.
We have 25 members, but within that membership, they have to adhere to the code of conduct, no drugs and alcohol, no discrimination, no theft, no fighting, and no continued disruptive behavior.
And then there's overnighters who just, then that can actually be daytime or nighttime. They come here for a period of time to sleep without being interrupted by police harassing them or security guards. And we give people a 12-hour period in which to catch up on their sleep, either day or night, no matter what time they check in.
What they're doing is community building, and they feel it's safe and comfortable where they can feel like at home. I mean, because you can't call a sidewalk home.
Yeah, maybe very briefly. I would like help with getting into prenatal care.
We talk to them when they first come in and see where they're at and what they would like to do and what they want to achieve and what they want from their needs and what they want as short-term and long-term goals. And we help them set the goals and periodically check in to see if they have met their goals or where they're at.
You want to go over in that one, that's okay. You don't have nowhere to go, or you want to volunteer and do some work here, you can leave your stuff.
I can do work normally, but...
Well, you got a lot of people in here, members in here that like counsel. If they don't know where to go, they'll suggest to you to go to TBI or Central City, or go to the food bank. They're given some place to go where, go talk to them and see what happens. But if you don't find a place, you can still come back here tonight, and you'll have a safe place to sleep.
Most of the services are within about a 6-block radius from what we call ground zero here as R2D2.
Our budget is about $1,500 a month. We pay for our porta potties, we pay for our garbage, we pay for the compost, we pay our liability insurance, we pay for our electric, we pay for our water. We pay for our laundry facilities, and that's our biggest expense on keeping the sleeping bags clean, because we clean those for 100 people 3 times a week. So that's about 300 sleeping bags that we clean every other day so they can have clean sleeping bags. And we not only clean them, but we spray them down with non-chemical, with human-friendly, earth-friendly substance to keep bed bugs and stuff out the sleeping bag.
When you talk about 165 people being a small portion of the population, it is and it isn't. So being able to provide safety for people, 165 people on the streets, is an enormous achievement when you're talking about a peer-led model of people doing things for themselves. There are government institutions, social service providers that spend in the millions to be able to provide some of the same basic services that the Dignity Village and Right to Dream 2 are delivering.
The turnover is enormous, because in the 2 years we here, we had 72 people as of yesterday find housing. We have 76 people find work. 10 people went through drug treatment successfully. 6 women was able to keep their babies, and 7 people are going to school. And now 2 years later, we at Right to Dream 2 are still helping people, the houseless community, become productive. 222 people found housing, over 230 people have found work, 24 people have successfully completed drug treatment, 15 women were able to keep their babies, 52 people have went back to school, and over 127,440 people have successfully used Right to Dream 2 as a safe place to sleep.
We're, saving up, probably for the next 2 weeks, we save up and have a nest egg that, if either one of us have a decrease in our hours or, some kind of issue that.
So I'm gonna let this keep playing in the background so y'all can look at the things that happen. When I first was asked to come here and speak, I didn't know what local board was. But now I know what local board is. I believe that's great. So I'm going to talk about the things that's happened here local in Portland, Oregon, or maybe on the outside. When I first came here, I was traveling and going around, living in the streets. And Portland struck me that enough people wasn't getting productive. And me, in my infinite knowledge, didn't realize that some people didn't have the type of education that I had. So I didn't know. So I looked at the social services and said, well, you're not giving enough reference so people can get productive. Teaching people how to fill out a resume and give them a list of jobs don't help them to get back in productive society. And what I'm finding now is that the minute you lose your housing and you live on the street, human rights don't contain, you don't have those. They take human rights away from you because it depends, as I said in the film earlier, it depends where you sleep. It's a human right to sleep. I don't care how many drugs, prescription, or whatever drinks you make to keep you up. Sooner or later, God's creation is going to take over and you're going to fall asleep because God created sleep. We all must sleep. Now, it depends where you sleep at. And so when the shelters are overcrowded and people have nowhere to sleep, where they sleep on a sidewalk, in abandoned houses, in their cars, or in factories or in the bushes, they get arrested and they get criminalized. You can't find work with all these criminal records on your background when they look it up. So what we did, I met with a group of guys and we formed a camp. And at that time I wasn't aware it was a camping van. Can you all hear me? Can I talk? Talk to each other. A camping van. And so we looked into the camping van and we formed Camp Dignity. And they said, well, you can't do this, you can't be here. So each time we got into a vacant land, we moved and we would have a shopping cart parade where it was 7 of us and we moved from one place to another. And houseless people would see us and say, where you all going? We said, we're going to find a place where we can squat and sleep. So it grew, and at one time there was 269 of us going down the middle of Portland with a shopping cart, looking for places. So it's like, that's a direct action. So we formed the land over on 17th and Xavier Northwest, where Dignity Village first got its morality at. And so they said it's still a camping van. And so me again got with the group and said, well, we can't call this a camp. And I said, I just got here from Somalia. They said, well, let's call it a village. It ain't a village van. So today it's called Dignity Village. So you got to kind of be a court jester with the system sometimes. And so that's what we started doing. And I stayed at Dignity Village for about 5 years. And people when they see me in the street, they were saying, it's bad out here, I can't find housing, I can't do this. So again, I left the comfort of my structure and left and went in the street, and I found out that it was worse than when I left the street. When I found out it was women, families, and children on the street. A lot of veterans live in the streets with nowhere to go. It was no public place for them to sleep. There was no public restroom, and there was no place where they can go buy food, no place where they can eat. And those are the 3 main ingredients in order to exist. You need sleep, you need food, you need to relieve yourself. And if you do those things, they criminalize you. And let me just take from a point. You fall asleep on the sidewalk in the business, and they had to step over, they get mad, and they give you a citation, a $250 citation for sleeping. And anybody in their right mind, if I had $250 and I was on the sidewalk, I'm getting me a motel room. I'm going to be on the sidewalk. So why would you give me a citation knowing I can't pay that and that's going to be on my record. I can't find housing, I can't find work. There's no public restroom. And I don't know anywhere else where you were, but in Portland, if you get a citation for urinating or defecating in public 3 times, you have to, it's a mild indecent exposure, which you have to register as a sex offender. And people don't, they look at titles, they don't read the gory detail. So if I had to exercise my human rights and I had to urinate in the corner, police catch me, and then I got this title sexist, I can't get this job because I urinate in public. Isn't that absurd? So we want to talk about corporate rights and human rights. Which one takes precedence over others? Because now you're seeing we have no communities, we have no neighborhoods. How many people know their neighbors and say hi to their talk to their neighbors? I mean, it's not much. I mean, everybody used to talk to their neighbors. Do they have neighborhood parties or block parties anymore? I don't know. I don't see them. We do. We have everything. and so in doing that, we went out, I formed a group called Right to Survive. I mean, you have a right to survive, the name speaks for itself. And so we went talking with the houseless community, and we call it like Under the Bridge Walk, where we go places where nobody goes, you know, just like Star Trek Enterprise, go where no one has gone, and talk to the houseless community. What can happen though for you to be productive? And 101% of them say rest. Rest. And this is the thing I appeal to social service agencies and social service agents and workers. If you can't tell the difference between someone that's coming down off the drug, suffering from mental issues, or sleep deprived, you are no good service to that person. Because then you're judging them and giving them false information and resources. And the ways are so further, they similar, but you have to know, be in the street and do that. You can't be in your perimeter where some people do it. I advise you, if this is what you are, you need to go and meet them where they at and see what they're going through. And that's way how you can help them. And so when Right to Survive did this survey, and all these people say we need rest, we developed a rest area. Now, most people thought we was thinking of where, you know, you driving to one state to another. But we're walking from one place to another, and we decided to have it in the hub as a happen chance spot where when the shelters are overcrowded or when somebody coming out of town new or just losing their housing, they know where to find us, we're right there. So in doing this period and having people get this rest that they say they can get, then they're better to function when you're sleeping well. Again, you better off learn how to function and figure out what to do with life when you're well rested. And that's the problem now, that a lot of people see those houseless people, they out there on drugs, look at them as crazy. No, they're sleep deprived, they're looking for places to rest. They get, we call it sweep, they get moved from, when I was out there, it was averaging that I got moved from one spot to another, whether it was sun was shining, snow, or raining, about 4 times a night. And it takes you about anywhere from an hour to a half an hour to find a safe place where you're not going to be harassed by the police, where you're not going to be harassed by one frat fraternity trying to prove something to their frat brothers while they bother you and stuff. So in doing that, you can't sleep at night because, I mean at day, because that's the busy time. That's when everybody's working, going to school, playing, or doing whatever. So we developed a rest area where people can come in and get up to 8 to 12 hours uninterrupted, safe, dry rest. And then we developed something that a lot of places don't have, where you can bring your pet, because people have service animals. And so you can bring your pet. Service animals. And then we cater to the LGBTQ community, because there's no shelter for them. If I'm a man born with a female pronunciation, I can't go in the women's shelter, and I definitely don't want to go into the men's shelter because I'm saying I'm a woman. So where is that community? Where are they going to get rest? And this is the problem we have in this country on how they like to divide, separate, and destroy. They destroy neighborhoods, they destroy humanity. Again, that when you become houseless, all your rights leave. All you have no rights. You go into a store, you get followed around. When we did Digby Village, again, you have to be a court jester. And I like doing stuff like that. Trust me, I do. Our supporters dressed up as quote unquote as a houseless person supposed to dress. We went to Goodwill and got some nice clothes. We all went into, I think it was Meyer and Franklin, now it's called Macy's. We went in there and they followed our supporters around while we had on these nice clothes. We stole. We stole from them. And then after an hour of doing it, we got together, we went back to the security guard and said, here, you follow the wrong people. and that's stereotyping how people are. We were just trying to prove something that because I don't live in a house, or I don't live in a mobile home or a condominium, it don't mean I'm not human. Because all of a sudden, I'm not what the American dream said. You go to school, get married, have 2.5 children, buy a house with a white picket fence and a dog to go bow wow. You can't never achieve that in this country at this moment. For one thing, you show me that 0.5 child that you Another thing is affordability. And that's why I want to talk about corporate rights, is affordability. The cheapest one-bedroom apartment here in Portland, Oregon, is about, what, $1,700 to $2,100 a month. And the average pay rate is, what, $9.40 an hour. And if I'm married and got that 2.5 child, and I make it $9.40 an hour, how can I afford that apartment? So it's people on the streets that do work, but they can't afford housing. It's people on the street that have jobs, but because gentrification in the name of progress or development is moving neighborhoods out. You're losing your mom and pop store, you're losing the neighborhood, people are not talking to each other. High-rise apartments where you don't know what's going on and you believe what the idiotic secular humanism TV tells you. Because every time you see a houseless person on TV, they in urine-drenched clothes with a wine bottle with their hands out next to a burning barrel, give me more money so I can get drunk. They have no teeth and they scraggly hair. Well, I'm houseless. I don't think I look like that. And I brought some houseless people with me. They don't look like that. So, in this affordability thing and this human rights, which are we more paying attention to? Human rights or corporate rights? And that's something you have to ask yourself. What do this country, or what do the citizens or the people of this country want? Development or humanity? And humanity is going down the drain, as you can see. You walk on the street, you see the streets. Nobody go to school to learn how to be houseless. Again, nobody go to school to learn how to be houseless. So when the person first loses their house, they don't know what to do. So they have 30 days to figure out what they're going to do for the rest of their life. They're going to social service hop, keep going from one social service agency to another, jumping hoops, and being told they had to do this when they know it's no housing for the poor. They know it's no room for the no income to the low income, but they keep going through because they look at us as their job security. If everybody in the street got housed, they wouldn't be needed. And that's how I used to tell my probation officer, if I stop doing crime, you will got away. So you should let me do crime. That's true. And with that affordability brings You got to pay, have to have insurance or growing things for the children, which now you don't have that many family shelters. That's why you see a lot of children running the streets, because and that's why you see a lot of people hiding in bushes, a lot of people car surfing, couch surfing, squatting houses, pre-foreclosed houses, in order to keep their family together. And on the film, you saw that at that time, 15 women was able to keep their baby. Because if you're living on the streets, there's a hospital obligation called DHS, and report that you're living on the street. They come take your baby and make you jump to the roof. Because you're living on the street don't mean you're a bad parent. It only means you're in a bad situation. And when you take that baby, you send trauma through that whole family. That mother is traumatically afflicted by not being with her newborn. That baby is not used to being without that mother, and they go through trauma, and they go through things that 75% of the women never recover once they take that baby away, because they start self-medicating. They deal with the problem the best way they can. And that's where they make people dependent on the system, and we try to make them independent on the system. Pharmaceutical drugs is the biggest drug dealer here in this country. Because now they prescribe something. They prescribe something for you to combat what they just prescribed for you, to combat what they just prescribed for you. And they're going to give you a sedative, so after you take all these three things to combat each other, you can fall asleep and wake up needing pharmaceutical drug. In that, with the baby, with the women, we send them to midwives, because they're not obligated to call DHS. What they do, they find them a doula, find them housing, and they get on their feet. And I think at this moment right now, I'm an uncle over 17 times, because everybody say, come to Uncle. I mean, I had to pay a lot of allowance, I had to do a lot of speaking engagements. But the thing, what I really want to emphasize, I know my time is running short, and we're going to do some question and answers, and I'm saving a lot so I can answer you on questions, is the humanity part of society. We are all human. We all deserve a right for proper shelter, proper education, universal medical. I don't know if Obamacare is not that well for the houseless community, but we want universal medicine, because we don't think about recuperating center. When a houseless person gets pneumonia for being outside, they go to the hospital, they get taken care of, but where do they send them? Back to the streets. To get pneumonia again, to get this drug, to get pneumonia again, to get this drug. When a houseless person sleeps on the sidewalk, nobody thinks about physical therapy, because you sleep on that concrete, your body gets cricket and whatever. So we don't have physical therapy. We don't have psychology for people to talk to, so counselors for people to talk to on what they're dealing with in this situation. So in doing those 30 days, you're going to become self-medicated on street drugs to deal with the situation that you're in, which most people don't know how, because we never taught how to live on the street. You're going to social service hop, where you're going to take initiative of your own, you create your own micro business. And that's what we teach also at Right to Dream, to creating your own micro businesses. We teach them how to grant write. We teach them how to do speaking engagement. We teach them how to apply for a 501c3, and this is all done and operated. I'm trying not to give y'all a lot of information, because I know y'all have questions, so I'm trying not to alleviate your questions so I can look smart when y'all ask me. So we teach them a lot of things, how to become productive once again. The main thing what we teach them is community building, because we don't have communities like we used to anymore. And we say they tearing down these old houses, they coming together, putting these skinny houses up with no backyard. So that lets me know no children is involved in the future if you don't have no playground and no backyard. So in doing this type of work, I found out that everything that you knew and that you thought about being homeless is wrong. It's false. Because when I first hit the street, I didn't know what to do. We also with food sovereignty, where people start getting good food, good vegetables, good healthy food. Because if you don't have good healthy food, you can't think right. You can't function right. So it's a lot of things that we need to start doing. What we want to start doing now for the houseless community is that we want to get a lot of these pre-foreclosed houses or abandoned houses and turn them to share housing. And that's what I live in now, share housing, where I have 7 housemates. Our rent for that house is $2,100 a month, and we each share the size of our bedroom, and then we share the responsibility of the utilities and the food, and that's where I can afford it. But if I was by myself, I couldn't afford it. So in Right to Dream 2, when people come and they find some type of commonality thing where they get along, we can put them in share housing. We put somebody who was there for the longest to make sure that things is going well. If they follow our code of conduct, and we found out that if you have a code of conduct, we all need guidance, not a free fall. We all need some type of guidance. And so that was the most simplest form of thing you can do. You go to a shelter, you get a kettle off. You're looking to sleep. You're not looking to stay we can get off. So we just got 5 basic rules. No drugs, paraphernalia, or alcohol. No discrimination. Because if you go out now, you're okay. You come back drunk, I'm going to be that terrorist, right? Because you look at me. Or we don't discriminate against nobody. We don't fight. We don't steal. We don't continue have disruption, and we added a new one, weapons on there, because now, with the way things is going now, you can't have weapons. People get upset. When I was growing up, we fought with the fist, but now they fist to pull a gun or a knife and say I'm a man or a woman or a person, I don't know. So we try to deviate from the weapon. And in this way, we teach people how to do some sensitivity classes, how to get along with different ethnicities. The problem is everybody in this room, and everybody in this city, everybody in this state, in this country, need to learn to put their differences behind them and fight together for this cause, and that's humanity. And I'm going to leave you with this. My time is running short. So I'm going to leave you with this and say, people are not the problem. The problem is the problem. And if you're not having humanity, you're living beneath your privilege as a human. Thank you. Any questions?
So since you're having such success with the rest area, do you see the local government wanting to emulate that, replicate it? I mean, because obviously you can't help, obviously it's too small to help all the homeless. It's a huge problem in this city.
Yeah, well, they want to call their project and emulate Right to Dream 2 and say this is their idea that they coming up with. So what now they're doing, they saying, well, you all can have this and we're going to do that. And you're saying, you're going to fail. Because it's the same people that's running the shelters and social services. It's the same people. And they're not talking to the people that's affected by it. I can't go be a dog trainer and go to a baseball player and say, teach me how to be a dog trainer. I have to go to that dog trainer. So yes, the city is trying to do that. And I've been going, for this year, I've been here in Portland, not for 2 months straight, but a total of 2 months. I've been traveling to different states and cities, helping them either consult them or helping them build rest areas in 10 cities. That's working.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions that are actually, I think, related. When people don't comply to the rules that you have, what's the consequences? And on top of that are there people there that, are there to help and enforce, and are they all volunteers? And I'm just curious about those
I'm glad you asked that. First, we believe in community accountability. The very last thing we do, we have no absolutely choice whatsoever, we call it police. So we police ourselves. And the worst thing to do is get kicked out of the homeless campsite, rest area, or village. So we have like verbal warning, written warning, 1 day out, 3 days out, a month out, and so forth. It depends on the degree of the things that they do. And sometimes we just say, hey, walk around the corner, take a deep breath, come back, and we'll let you back in. Because we don't know what that person went through that day. We don't know if they lost someone. We don't know if they just got fired. We don't know if they broke up, if they partner, or whatsoever. But we know we've been in those situations before, so we try to show them a lot of leniency and try to show them support and kindness. The thing what you're saying, again, I don't know if they want to say anything, but we do have members there. And if somebody is getting in a bad way, we kind of like lock arms and we walk to them and say, hey, you can't be here. Why don't you go and come back? And they usually follow because they want to utilize our services. Everything that I have part of is ran and operated by the people themselves because they know how to deal with each other. And they know each other. That's the biggest thing. They know each other also. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I work in Columbus, Ohio with houseless people, and I was wondering, does Portland have anything in place for like an overflow system when the weather's particularly terrible? Like we have this, they have an overflow system if it's 26 degrees. That's not wind, that's not wind chill. Wind chill's a lot colder than that. So, people are freezing on the streets. And then if it gets a degree above that, they put them all back outside again.
They have an overflow system, but I don't like the emergency overflow system. I think it had to be 35 to 30 degrees, or actually 25. However, when it rains and you get wet and all your floors is cold and heavy, it's worse out there. And so we try to talk to them about that, and they haven't moved yet. So I don't know, we may do a stunt when they come out of City Hall, throw cold water on them.
And then what about all the foster children? How are they? How's that being? The foster children that are set out at their 18th birthday?
A lot of those children, they run away before they become 18 because they go looking for their parents, or then the streets raise them up because a lot of times when we even have people run away from their homes because their parents put them in front of a computer, so that's your babysitter. They don't have that human touch. They don't have that human contact. They don't have that human telling them you can't do this, you can't do that, which we all need. So we got to, I'm not saying that the cyber network is destroying this country, but it is. So we need to get human back into the event and start raising people again the human way, not the computer way.
In Portland, what kind of relationship is there between the houseless community and the police, and is it getting better or worse?
This is an election year, so I think it's but they have came to Brad, right here, Brad came with me, they have came to Brad to help train the police and the ranger how to approach a houseless person, because again, you don't know if that person is sleep deprived, coming down off of drugs or won't, and you just can't go kick somebody and say get up. So they may, they initiate that violent rage in them. So we try to tell people, so Brad is teaching them how to use gentle personalism with them. And there's nothing wrong. The police is here to protect, not to disturb or disrupt. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about the abandoned homes in which people are living. What is the process of taking that over?
I can wait on see. What happened? Okay, I stayed in a squatted home for a year and a half, and I was invited to be on the neighborhood association. And they didn't know. So what happens, we go online and look at all the pre-foreclosed houses. I don't know if it's been there, if it's in any good shape. And then we break in the back door, change the locks, and then on a weekend, about noon or 1, we pull up with our U-Haul van, move in, and people think we're moving, and we cut the lawn, paint the house, and turn the utilities up in our names. And so once that mail comes in your name, you have right to that house until the bank or something puts you out. And so the bank was giving us $3,000 a house to leave. And so we started saying, hey, we can break the banks and get our own stuff. And we started doing foreclosure. It worked well, but then again, with every positive, negative, people start stealing the plumbing and stuff. So we stopped doing that. We said, y'all on your own. We set a way for y'all to be safe. Y'all mess it up. That's what we do. And the campaign was called Take Back the Land.
I'm just really happy to hear you talk about transgender people and not wanting to discriminate against transgender folks in particular. Was that something that was always a part of the Right to Dream 2 project, or was there something that initiated that for your group? Or
it was always done because the real melting pot is the houseless community. We have skinheads, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have LGBT community, we have former bicyclists, we have former teachers, we have everybody. So in order for me and for me to approach people to form this organization, we said we had to cover all of it. So the organizer, when I first formed Right to Survive, we all got together and we went to class. I went to LGBT classes, and I think they got a newsletter they put on there that I'm trying to figure out what to do. And it's bad for me when and I'm trying to get used to the word. I think they call it the queer. To me, when I was growing up, that was a derogatory word. But now they're saying that, so I kind of say that under my breath because I know I use that to discriminate. But I'm speaking up now, I'm saying because that's what we want to be called. So it was a form, and then when people found out that we catered to everybody, even the LGBTQ community, we started getting more support because they're realizing that we just not in it to make a name, we in it to help. And I'm not in it to convert nobody to Islam or a gang that I used to be in Chicago. I'm in it to make sure people get sleep and get productive. And it's inexpensive, very inexpensive to have a rest area. Again, we don't ask the government, the city for no money. We do fundraising, we do speaking engagements like this. We sell these DVDs, we sell t-shirts like Brad have on, we sell buttons, and we teach people how to do grant writing. And our last fundraiser was the best graffiti artist contest in Portland. And so people like to do stuff on walls, come do it on our doors.
Our fourth anniversary.
Yeah, we had our 4th anniversary. They say we wouldn't be there for 30 days. We're over 4 years now. And we have more people to become successful than the shelters themselves.
Do you have any linkage with the community gardening here in Portland?
You talking the green?
Yeah.
The green side. Yes, we do. They come. I like stepping in the background because I don't want to overshadow them because I'm known and a lot of people are that's different. So I kind of like step back. You all need to speak up for yourself, so it just won't be me hollering in the wilderness. You need to help for sure. It's everybody. Yes, ma'am.
I'd also like to commend you for allowing animals because there are very few homeless shelters that allow, and there are many homeless with animals, and they're an invisible population because they can't access services because they don't have a place to go with their animals.
Exactly, and that's a lot of reason why you don't see people going to shelters because they can't take their animals. Yeah. So we ask 2 things. they people friendly or other pet friendly? If not, you put a muzzle on or put them in the kennel. And you still can bring them. We don't want to turn no one away. And we do that. And we also send them, we got a relationship with veterinarians where they get free shots, they can get their dog and stuff. So we as an organization, we go out and make that connection because people can't afford. And for a while, the police was approaching homeless people saying, you ain't got a license for your dog, we're going to take your dog. And they have shot some about 4 dogs in Portland because the dog didn't want to go away. And it's attacking it. It's protecting its owner. So we lobby against that also.
Do you facilitate them getting their dogs rabies shots unlicensed?
Yeah, when they come, we ask them to have your dog have license. If not, we can send you to these places.
Because you're right, there's the problem that another reason often that they don't is they access services because they are afraid that their dogs aren't licensed, that they will be confiscated, and then you often go to a kill shelter and you're euthanized.
Right. It's the same thing with family with children under age. They're afraid to utilize social service because they know their children are going to be taken away. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a time limit? Or can they stay there for indefinitely?
It depends on what entity you go to. At Dignity Village, they got a 2-year time limit. And Right to Drink too, if you're a member, as long as you're seeking to be productive, we know you can't. It's a 2-year wait. It's a 2-year wait to get on a 2-year wait list to wait for 2 more years to get housing at the church.
Now 5.
It's 5 years. Yeah. So we don't put pressure on it as long as you're just not sitting down and doing anything. You have to be active in doing something, like joining another organization, giving speaking engagement, or creating, or like I say, doing grant writing and traveling with me to different states. And we even leave some of the members that we train in different states and cities so they can train the people there. Because I can't be everywhere now. I don't believe in calling. Yeah.
Do they have anything like a homeless court in Portland?
They have a homeless court, and we was against that because when you have if y'all don't know what a homeless court is, it's for a court set up just for houseless people. It's a system. So when they do a whole court just for houseless people, they let you know they're going to criminalize these people to come to this court.
Except the one we have in Phoenix is not that way. The purpose of it is, and it's actually done on the campus of one of the homeless. It's to get rid of all of the minor infractions that they may still have, fines, etc., so that they can remove barriers for them to get housing.
If it was set up like that here in Portland, that'd be go, but it's to give them those barriers.
No, this one, because it's actually a former student of mine that runs it, it's to help them actually remove.
So what we call it is like homeless slave labor, where they tell you, if you don't plead guilty, you're going to do this much time. I don't know if y'all read Michelle Alexander, and that's the same, that's true what she said. And if you take it to court, you probably do maybe a day or one day at all. But people are afraid of being locked up, so they say, okay, I'm guilty. Then they give you community service where you go sweep the streets and stuff. When that can be a paid job to help people get productive, but they're using that free labor on people. Okay, I got two. I'm going to go to him first, but you that's okay.
Many years ago, I had the privilege of bringing Mitch Snyder to my university in New Orleans, and it was truly an uplifting and inspiring experience. And like many people here, I was saddened when he took his own life in part because of the political backlash during the Reagan years against helping houseless people, etc., and dealing with poverty. One of the things that I remember him commenting on is the lack of people just like yourself, people who are willing to step up and be leaders, train people to help themselves, be their own leader, right? SNCC style, etc. But more importantly, people like yourself who are willing to front this effort and this movement. Do you see a lot of your counterparts in other cities, or are you unfortunately the exception to that rule?
There are other
people and we met.
It's people that, like you all have, y'all read about me, or you all read about us, I don't like to say me because it's us, and they send for us to come and educate them. And it's people that want to step up, but not sure how to do it, and that's where we have our format. We give them that format, and then they say, well, can you come back and help us do this? And so that's where sometimes we need some of the people that we train that Right to Dream too in these different cities to help them out. It's a big movement going on. We write the Homeless Bill of Rights, and right now we're on the Right to Rest Act bill, where if shelters are overcrowded, people should have the right to rest and sleep on the sidewalk as long as it's a specific time. It's from like 9 to 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. And they have to keep it clean, no violence and no drugs. So we're trying to implement that. But the police department was saying, well, that language is too hard. We want to keep harassment in there. And I said, dummy, that's why we got it, because you're harassing us. So we pulled it out. It was SB 629 in Oregon State, and we pulled it out. Rhode Island and Illinois passed their Homeless Bill of Rights, and so we have a tripod state, Colorado, California, and Oregon, writing our bill now, and Washington is fast joining.
So I had two questions. One, how much is the DVD?
$10.
Great. And two, I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we have a real big population of houseless people and a real big lack of adequate shelters, including we don't have any shelters that will accept open LGBT people in our city at all. And yet some folks other cities will put their houseless people on buses and send them with a one-way ticket and send them to Kalamazoo. And I was just wondering if you have any contacts there, or I've just been more and more. My partner works with a lot of houseless people as a social worker, and I'm just really interested in how I can get more involved. So I was just wondering if you had any contacts in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. I went to the University of Michigan. I have Ann Arbor with their tent city when I went to Detroit for the social forum. But now I heard they got moved, and I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for a while. So I don't have any contacts with the people in Kalamazoo, but I think it's an organization called the Michigan Welfare Rights. You can contact them. I went there early this summer when we were fighting the water and affordability, what they're doing to the water in Michigan, forcing people out of their houses. And this is the thing that people got to realize, that people are not saying, I want to live on the street. They're being forced to go to the street. They're being forced to live on the street. And once they get on the streets again, their rights are taken away from them. We have no rights to exist. So what's going to happen? In South Carolina, they was forced, the housing community, to take put chips in there and put them in this FEMA concentration camp. And I think they stopped that now.
Yes, they
stopped it.
Yeah. I'm moving there, so I know, I followed that, yes.
Yeah, they was doing that. In Paris, the house community had to wear a yellow triangle.
Oh, that's
Remember of anything, 1936? So it's happening all over. They trying to do something. It's going to have to be rich. This is not democracy anymore. I think this is imperialism and capitalism combined together.
But when you mentioned the relationship between the police and the homeless, in Columbia where they were going to do that, not all of the police, but a lot of the police were going to refuse. That was city council that passed that, and they were going to refuse. They were supposed to pick up any homeless person and take them to this place, and they would be kind of locked in. And there were a lot of the cops that were not doing this.
Right. Well, I'd say the Civil Rights Act is passed for a long time, but we still discriminated. So even though we passed these rights, who's going to follow them? Who's going to make sure that happens? So again, be careful who you vote for.
Right now they have the Department of Justice. They were brought in on a case in Idaho, and there was a statement made that, okay, if you criminalize against your homeless people, they can sue you and win. Now HUD has also now been behind them and saying, okay, if you criminalize against homeless people, we are going to definitely look into you for non-funding for your housing. So there's, like I said, the municipalities are looking at this and saying, that's why you're having a lot of homeless people, being able to do what they're doing because there's no direction, because they don't know which way to go now.
If you look at the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25, you will see that America is violating all of those things. All of the economic.
Also, the cities are shipping them out to other cities left and right.
Right, you have to make it seem like Portland is a good liberal eco city, and we know it's not that way.
Hawaii is shipping their homeless to Guam, putting them on flights with one-way tickets.
So for a while I was joking, I was saying if anybody want to go to Hawaii on vacation, pay one way and then say, hey, I'm homeless, and get shipped back.
How do you deal with homeless people receiving mail?
We have our organization have an address where they can receive mail, and the biggest thing of it is just trying to get them to get ID, because so many times they lose their birth certificate. I don't know if you all know where sweeps are. We all know what sweeps are. It's when you have a bunch of more than 3 houseless people sitting together, and the police come in and take all their belongings and put it in one bag, and then take it and hold it in storage. And then you got to go within 72 hours to prove that's your stuff. But if your ID is
you can't even file for your stuff until
30 days. So if you're having mental issues and your pharmaceutical drug is in that bag, and they take that, and so you want to keep yourself calm, you go back to the doctor and say, I need more medicine. The doctor said, no, you hooked, you ain't getting more medicine. What do? You're being forced to do something, and that's self-medicating, that's buying street drugs to calm you down, and then you tag as a drug addict. Then you say, hey, I got myself on this drug, I want to go to treatment. You can't go to treatment unless you're on probation or parole, so you got to go commit a crime to go to treatment. So in order to heal myself, I got to make myself look bad. And now I'm healed, I can't find a job because I've been on probation or parole. Do y'all see how this is? And so that's why we want to do something called intersectionality, where we get with a lot of organizations and a lot of people and trying to connect the dots and the T's, cross our T's, because this stuff is going to affect every one of us in here, because I guarantee you, somebody you know knows somebody's going to be living on the street, and we need to know what to do. We need to get together and fight each other. Again, I can't emphasize no more or no less, but humanity, human rights should be over corporate rights.
Tell us about these.
Those on the table, what we put on the table is information how to get in touch with us and show what we do. Again, it's done by the Houseless community themselves. They write newsletters. We have a radio show that airs once a month on cable, KBOO 90.7 FM. That goes down to the Houseless community or to different other communities in the states and the cities and the country. And we interview houseless people. One of our best interviews, we went to San Jose for the social forum, and we interviewed the people that got kicked out of the jungle. And we was told, we was under the impression that it was 200 people and they all got housed. It was over 400 people and only 25 people got housed. So that's why we bring you the real story from our radio station. We're also ready to do a TV show, start our own TV show, which is going to be on Portland Community Media, and that's in the process of happening. So we do our newsletter, we have our websites, we have our cyber network. And so this is how you can contact us and keep abreast of and come send for us. We'll be more than happy to come and help your community. I want to come to Ohio. Someone came from Ohio, but I haven't heard back from them yet. I just got called from Boise, Idaho, and from Tennessee. Again, we need help. We're going to train people to help people to become productive. Thanks so much.